Hello everyone, this is Crota coming at you. Today is, well, March 6th, and if you guys can tell, yes, my logo is back, but I am using a different method in order to do my shoutcast right now. This is going to be a game between ZhouXiXi versus Infi. I believe it's Infi, or is it Tho? You know what? I'll have to double check that. I will just refer to them as human versus night elf. Very difficult to tell when the name is all in Chinese and the name doesn't show up. For those of you guys who want to see my face during the cast, well, you guys still can. I'll be doing a little bit of a post-op or post-game wrap-up like that, but yeah, just go ahead and focus on the game. And some of you guys out there were like, yeah, we love the webcam. We love being able to see you. Other guys were like, you know what? It's really distracting watching the commentator commentate during a cast. And, you know, you're right. I can be a little bit expressionate in my face sometimes, and if you guys just want to see my pretty mug instead of watching the game, well, if it's that distracting, then I will get rid of it, but I will go ahead and bring back the logo. And as you guys can see, it is down over here. However, every time I do move it, it does pause the game. No more moving, bad Crota. And then I will do a little bit of my thoughts later on. Now, there has been a lot of discussion about whether or not the meat wagons should have been attacking the guard towers. The long story short is, if the meat wagons were attacking the guard towers, it would have been hitting 4 buildings at a time, potentially dealing a lot of damage to all of those buildings all at the same time. What would have been dealing more damage? That's difficult to say, but I do know for a fact that if you guys haven't been keeping track, I believe it was the Foggy versus Infi, or Foggy versus Tho matchup that I'm talking about. I think the math basically comes down to because Foggy kept on attacking those, attacking the castle, and it was constantly being repaired. No real damage was dealt, and it really just bought a lot of time for flying machines. But there is no flying machines in this game. Well, there could be. I don't know yet. As a warden now making his way out for ZhouXiXi. Meanwhile, on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have don't know yet. Where is the hero? There is a footman off over here. Where's the purple hero? And the purple hero is going to be a panda. So Kung Fu Panda chopping and slicing and breathing his way through to victory here in just a moment. Meanwhile, back over here to the top, you can see that the Ancient of War is doing a little bit of eating as we are going into a Hunter's Hall. This is Death Road 1.2, and you can see ZhouXiXi spawning here over here on the top right. Meanwhile, on the bottom left, it's either Infi or Tho. I'll have to get back to you on that. My apologies. All of this new setup changes and the name of the player not being in the replay kind of messed me up. But we are going to be seeing some very fast creeping. All right, there you go. There's a Breath of Fire dealing a lot of damage there. The Warden gets to level 2 rather quickly now, and now being forced to back off. Cold Arrow and Searing Arrow being dealt to that poor Warden, and that Warden has to be extremely careful. Meanwhile, you can see that the Panda is dealing a good amount of damage, and now the Warden is actually being slowed, running back around. You can see that the Panda now getting up to level 2, as the peasants have to be extremely careful once more. All right, there is the Shadow Meld, and the Warden is currently safe, hiding in plain sight, so to speak, as the units are now going every which way. All right, one footman now making his way over Archer down over here. You can see the skeletal archers and the footmen are now making their way off to the north. The Panda now coming across as well, as the Warden at level 2 could spell a lot of problems. Solo Warden, one of the perhaps most annoying matchups ever, because that Warden is just so mobile. You can see that the Warden now going to come in here and should be able to get to level 2 very easily. There is already a Shadow Strike, as the Militia now trying to come in. The Militia now making their way back over here. Are we perhaps going to get another Shadow Strike onto that unsuspecting peasant? Or, well, I'm pretty sure that peasant is actually suspecting something, and it is going to take another blow. There it goes. The Warden now sitting at level 2, still going to go ahead and Shadow Meld. And now we once again go back to just simple mining. All right, that one low hit point peasant, a lot of guys on that gold mine right there, and you can see that that peasant is just wandering back and forth. The Warden sitting at level 2, is she gonna make a play of some sort, as the Arcane Tower is about halfway done? Meanwhile, Panda is using a different route, trying to more abuse this particular map here, and he's actually gonna get a whole bunch of Burning Archers and Skeletal Marksmen. he already has 2 of each, and that could be very problematic. Meanwhile, the Warden sitting at 28 hit points and regenerating rather nicely. Meanwhile, there's an Ancient of War right there, and it's trying to train up Huntresses, and now ZhouXiXi is actually caught in a very bad situation. This is one of 2 Ancients of War. That Ancient of War trying to train up a Huntress, it's not going to even see the light of day. As you can see, the Skeletal Marksman dealing so much damage, or sorry, the Burning Archers dealing so much damage. Cold arrows don't really affect buildings. That's why it was not toggled, as we can now see the Lumber Mill off over here trying to make a bit of a wall so that the units cannot make their way through. All right, let's take a look. Lumber Mill now gets taken down. 1 Arcane Tower right here. Huntresses are now taking a bit of that damage, and you can see that the Warden quickly breaks Shadow Meld to try and make a bit of a play. All right, the Warden taking a lot of damage. Once again, Shadow Melds again, and all the Panda needs to do is come back and Breath of Fire. No, the Panda instead doing a little bit of a aggressive attack of his own. If the Panda can get off a Breath of Fire onto these units, there goes 1 Huntress, and this could be a very, very quick game. As you can see that the Huntress is already very low on hit points. A huge Breath of Fire. The Warden needed to land next to Moonwells, and by landing next to those Moonwells, also landed next to a Panda. That Panda dealing so much damage to so many units in such a confined area, as the Tree of Life already down to, say, 200 hit points. All right, Wisp now being pulled off. The Panda now tries to engage. It looks as though the Wisp are going to get poked off one at a time. They're all trying to run back again, but this is still not looking good for all of those Wisps. Wisp after Wisp after Wisp is falling, as the Panda now gets to level 4, and all of a sudden ZhouXiXi is in danger of losing his Tree of Life. No, the rest of the units have pretty much already gone down. There goes another Burning Archer and a Skeletal Archer, and now it is a solo Panda against Warden and 3 Huntresses with a whole bunch of Moonwell support, and the Panda all of a sudden decides he does not like what he sees. And, well, he commands a footman to actually go and try to get in harm's way. This Panda is a little bit worse for wear. Is he going to be able to make it away? It looks like he is going to be able to do exactly that. The Warden is just chasing up the hill, and that Panda is just running around very, very carefully. Is he going to perhaps pick up anything useful? Boots of Speed could be purchased. There is the Boots of Speed. There is a Staff of Teleportation, and Panda returns all the way home without any real worry. Alright, second Ancient of War, or this Ancient of War, has been pumping out Huntresses, hence the very, very fast number of Huntresses we saw in the base of the human player. Arcane Vault now being quickly trained up as well, as the Huntresses are going after these footmen. The footmen getting caught in open field, not a good sign at all, especially as he runs past another Ancient of War. 4 Huntresses working together there, without any riflemen, without any piercing damage, and especially without water elementals. Those Huntresses are just that much faster. Perhaps this was a little bit of counterplay, knowing that Water Elementals and the Archmage normally counter Huntresses, but because of the early game Panda, this Huntress strategy is actually looking to be much, much stronger. There is a Breath of Fire. There goes the Panda. The Panda losing the Clarity Potion and a Scroll of Regeneration. Not looking good at all, as a quick Raccoon falls to the blades of the Huntress. Now, we are looking at 31/40 supply for the Night Elf player. Meanwhile, we are looking at 29/42, and the Militia are now making a bit of a play as well, as the Panda now caught in open field once more. This is actually not good for the human player. ZhouXiXi, I would say, has the advantage in this upcoming fight. The Huntresses are a much faster unit, deal more damage, and if in terms of kiting, this is actually the perfect situation to be in. The fact that all of those Huntresses do not have to really worry about piercing damage, and makes it so that those Huntresses are just simply too strong. Those Huntresses so strong there, going after the footmen. You can see that the footmen are trying to run back away, and what looked like a guaranteed victory moments ago for ZhouXiXi all of a sudden looks like we may be getting to a level 4 Warden if we are not careful. That Warden, no blink though, unable to catch up to those footmen, and without Boots of Speed, not able to run very, very far either. Meanwhile, the Panda uses a Staff of Teleportation, will be able to head back home, and we are still during midday, so these Moonwells are pretty much bone dry already. Alright, Huntress now going after the rest of these footmen. It looks as though this footman down over here is in a bit of a precarious situation. No, the Warden now backing off with the Clarity Potion of his own, and it looks like, yes, oh, the footman down to 6 hit points gets taken out by the Shadow Strike. All right, long distance kill right there. Meanwhile, the Panda is trying to regroup and regather himself. Low hit point footman rejoining the numbers as the Panda now on the move once more. Human sitting at 27 over 42. Meanwhile, Night Elf sitting at 35 over 40. This is not good at all for the human player, but at the same time, it looks like ZhouXiXi is not paying attention. He's actually taking a fair amount of he could be taking a fair amount of damage, and the Panda all of a sudden could get a little bit too strong right here. The Panda, if he's able to get off another Breath of Fire on all of these Huntresses, that could be a huge amount of damage to be had. There goes another Huntress there as the Waygate brings all the units back home. All right, there goes an Ancient of War, and what is going to be happening here? Is the Panda going to use a Clarity Potion? No, Naki going to use the Clarity Potion, going after the Renegade Wizard, and the Panda may get to level 5, picks up a Potion of Greater Healing, and the Panda, sitting at level 5, is going to be able to deal so much damage, and there goes another Huntress as the Warden sitting at level 4, and ZhouXiXi says GG. Wow, that was a really close game for a while, but the Panda getting a little bit of extra experience at the end. I simply wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I really thought that ZhouXiXi had defended that attack extremely well. He was able to fend off the attack, but the problem was he didn't buy enough moonstones to replenish those moonwells. He had a bunch of low hit point Huntresses throughout the game, and after all of those low hit point Huntresses tried to do a little bit of creeping, 2 Breath of Fires pretty much took them out and took out all of the advantage that he had built and worked so hard to get. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1. Please stay tuned for Game 2.